Good evening, good evening, good evening, and welcome to the Reel McCoy. I'm your host, Meffistoe, and usually with me, Oh My Feelings, but he is away on special assignment, we'll call that. So we have got a ringer. We've got a special guest, Jay Harague. How are you, sir?
Very good. Thank you for having me once again. Very pleased to be here.
Yeah, awesome. What is the Reel McCoy, you might ask? The Reel McCoy is your weekly movie podcast where we ask you to go watch a movie, come back to us, and we break it down for you. We spin it all around. Today, it's July. It's a new month. We start a brand new theme for the month. And this month, this July, we decided, me and my buddy, Oh My Feelings, that we're going to do a Paul Verhoeven month. And we've got the classics. You can think about whatever you want to think about. The first thing that comes up in your head, it's probably this month. But today we asked you, or last week we asked you, to go and watch Basic Instinct. I think it's the third of second movie that Paul Verhoeven has done. After it's like he did RoboCop. And he did something else, and then he did Basic Instinct, if I'm not mistaken.
When was this? Was 92, yeah?
This was 1992.
Did he do Total Recall? Did he do Total Recall?
Total Recall, that's it.
Right,
so
okay.
this is the third one. Yeah, how did I forget? And very controversial, very, very controversial, to say the least. And there's a lot of details that went into this film. But first, we'll say hello to the Salty Nerd podcast that has redirected to us. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We'll say hello to Wolvenar, and we'll say hello to the lovely Sherry and all the other lurkers in the chat. Bless you and welcome. Let's just say this. I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked, I'm pretty sure we're already demonetized. Pretty sure. Because this movie is... Yeah, it's a. Let's just say this: I can't show a whole bunch of it while I pull it up on screen, and you know why. Jay, when's the first time that you've actually seen this movie?
Right. Well, I would have seen this years ago when it first came out, VHS, when I was a kid, and only for one reason. And yeah, to be honest, when I first watched it, I found it pretty boring. Like the whole start of it, I didn't find it much different from like the Shannon Worry movies or anything like that. But then when I watched it recently, I think it's quite a good film. Certainly towards the end, it's actually quite exciting. I don't think you appreciate it as a kid, and therefore watching things for the wrong reasons could backfire.
I agree. Because when I watched it for the very first time, I was a teenager, and I watched it for a very specific reason. We'll call it masturbatory purposes, mainly. Yeah. You have to remember, this is the mid 90s, and porn was scarce at some point. Yeah. So why not just enjoy your regular old movie? Because everybody's here from the Salty Nerd podcast, it is time to start the show with our usual thing. It is called Behind the Screens.
Sound production, take 2.
No, you're not wrong. You've heard it double for some reason. Behind the Screens is usually where we turn to All My Feelings and get the lowdown on everything that is behind the screens production stuff. But since he is not here, it is down to me, and it is down to you guys in the chat. So if you've got any information that you know specifically about the behind-the-scenes stuff, please share it, and I'll try and grab it as we go along. So, Joe Esterhaus is the guy who wrote the script. He wrote it around mid-80s. It took about 10 days, and he said that during those 10 days, he repeatedly listened to just Rolling Stones albums, just one after one. It just inspired him in some way. He based the Catherine Trammell character on an encounter he had with a go-go dancer that turned really, really ugly. As in, at one point...
The encounter or the go-go dancer?
The encounter with the go-go dancer, because after the show... They kind of went to his motel room and had an encounter, but she pulled out a gun, and he was like, "What do you want from me?" And I was like, I thought I treated you right, and she said, "Well, everybody treats me the same way. Why don't you just treat me in a different way?" As in, everybody sees me as a whore or as an encounter. We'll call that.
Right.
And they literally sat down and had a talk for the rest of the night. And he got her because she pulled out a gun, and he was, let's say, talking himself out of getting shot, basically.
I've got a question. So this person was a prostitute, is that right?
She was a sort of a stripper and prostitute.
All right, somewhere on the edge then. Yeah. But it's like, it's if you're a plumber, you don't expect, one client to give you responsibilities for mergers and acquisitions, do you? Do you know what I mean? Like, what the fuck? What's she fucking doing? Anyway.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I didn't say she was right. I said that.
Okay, that's what happened. Yeah, fair enough. Okay.
But the fact is, Catherine Trammell kind of says it in the movie. Everybody sees me as the same thing, so they expected me to be that thing. And nobody puts baby in the corner. Basically, don't put me in a box, kind of a thing. Yeah. The Nick Curran character, the detective character, was based on, not completely, but based on an adrenaline junkie cop from Cleveland, Ohio, that Joe, the writer, knew of while he was a reporter back in Cleveland. He was a reporter as a sort of a crime reporter type deal. Okay. So he kind of modeled it after that guy. Sort of a loose cannon type deal. And originally, it wasn't a he, it was a she. It was a lesbian cop. Right. And when he wrote it, he had Kathleen Turner in mind, which is oddly insane because when Michael Douglas kind of got cast into the role, they both had a shared history. Joe LaValle, Romancing the Stone, War of the Roses, all that stuff.
That's it, yeah. Love those films.
And also, she was up for the role of Catherine Trammell, which is another kind of a deal, because if she would have been cast, it would have been the fourth film that they did together.
Yeah. But I think that probably would have put it in straight away into that category. People would have turned up to watch it, and they'd have been like, hang on, what the hell is this? Why aren't they doing an adventure? And I think War of the Roses was a bit of a disappointment to people because people expected it to be like almost the third part of a trilogy, as opposed to some weird thing about divorce and people throwing chickens at each other at Christmas.
I have really no idea.
Okay, fair enough.
I would do research and maybe come up with an answer, but I have really no idea. I know all three films, and I didn't have any prerequisites to War of the Roses because I've actually seen the trailer on a VHS on a different movie.
Right, okay.
So I was aware of the whole divorce dynamic already.
Yeah.
Where was I? Okay, Joe Esterhaus sold the script for a record-setting $3 million, which made him the highest scriptwriter in Hollywood at the time. The second one was about $1.5 million, so he doubled the old record, which is odd. Michael Douglas, when he got cast, was actually criticized for being too old for the role. Joe Esterhaus, the writer, didn't quite like him because he was 47 at the time. There was that scene where they go to the disco kind of thing where they dance, and the criticism was like he looks twice as old as everybody else in that disco.
Yeah, and that, to be honest, they had some old ass extras in that disco as well. Like, I mean, if you go to an actual nightclub now, certainly in the UK, I mean, I'm the same age as Michael. I'm 46. I'll tell you, I'd look a lot older in comparison to everyone else there than he did. But I don't know where they found all those grown adults to like dance like that in that weird sort of. It's not a disco. It's not a club. What is it? It looked like some sort of It looked like a bit like the illegal rave in Fear.
Well, it's the dead guys club, basically.
Yeah.
It's the what's his name? Wow.
Boz.
Balls.
Something Boz, yeah. He was a 60s rocker.
Yeah.
And it does sort of fit, I suppose.
But when he was cast to the role, he beat about 20 other guys. Some of the names, not all of the names, are Richard Dean Anderson, MacGyver.
Oh, right, yeah, no.
Tom Berenger, who said, I look too old for this part. Plus,
Fair
he didn't
enough.
even do the nude roles. Jeff Bridges, Nicolas Cage, Kevin Costner, Tom Cruise, Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Don Johnson, Tom Hanks. Because every time you see that Tom Cruise was up for a role in the mid, like all throughout the 90s, if Tom Cruise was up for a role, Tom Hanks was up for the same role.
Yeah.
Right.
Of those, who can you see in that? Because I can definitely see Richard Gere. I think he'd be good.
Wait, there's more. John Hurd, Ray Liotta, Sean Penn, Brad Pitt, Dennis Quaid, Charlie Sheen, Wesley Snipes,
Right.
Patrick Swayze,
Right.
John Travolta, Denzel Washington, and the cherry on top was Peter Weller, the guy from Robo.
Okay, rule John Travolta out because by the early 90s, he was a fatty. Yeah.
Yeah, this is 92.
Yeah, so if you see Look Who's Talking, that was late 80s, and he's fat in that.
Yeah.
Of those, I mean, Dennis Quaid in anything. I love Dennis Quaid. The other ones, Richard Gere, definitely. Don Johnson, I can see, but his star was already fading a bit then, wasn't it?
Yeah. Like Miami Vice was done.
Yeah, that was it. Yeah.
Like, done.
Yeah.
I mean, Sean Penn, too young. Remember that the Nick Curran was written as a young detective.
Yeah.
And Gus, his partner / mentor kind of a deal.
Yeah.
He was supposed to be like 64, like I'm too old for this shit kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And they kind of even that scale at some point
Right.
for reasons. Maybe because of Michael Douglas. There's some things I cannot know, but
Yeah.
Gus was supposed to be like a much older guy, and Nick was supposed to be a much younger guy.
Fine.
And it didn't quite work.
Yeah.
Sharon Stone. At the time, Sharon Stone was not a big movie star at all. She was considered a B movie actress, a TV movie actress at the time. But she was the only one that was willing to do any sort of like more explicit sex scenes, and she didn't mind the nudity that much. Michael Douglas did not want to work with Sharon Stone at all.
Okay.
He thought his sort of reasoning is the fact that this script is very heavy, and in order to sort of go past the sex scenes and the nudity stuff, he said that you would need really tough, good, well-known leads to let Hollywood get over itself, because Hollywood at certain points was really Puritan, especially like 80s. It was like rah patriot America, and
Those were the days, weren't they? We're all crying out for that now. We used to laugh at it then, didn't we?
Exactly.
Give me that back, please.
But when it came to the 90s, there was sort of a shift towards doing some more explicit stuff and doing like pushing that Puritan rah America patriotism up to the limit. Like, let's just call it what it is. It's poking the conservatives at this point.
Yeah.
I
do have to point out that even during that time, you don't really notice as a kid, but as you get a bit older, the whole America stuff does really start getting on your nerves as a non-American. Our classic example is mid-90s, probably around the time of things like Independence Day and Armageddon, right? Where they obviously the hero is the president, right? and then they show brief clips of there's an alien invasion or something about to kill the world. They show brief clips of other countries, and the English one is always someone living in a massive mansion with little children rolling around in little shorts. Oh, mummy, daddy!
How dare you?
Oh, come! It is terrible. The stereotypes are incredible. Like, and so, like I think the French one, they're always sat like right by the Eiffel Tower, going, the Americans are attacking, and with a beret on. I mean, it's just like, oh, fuck off. Like, at some point, you're like, Jesus Christ. I mean, you don't have to leave America or have a look around, but just watch anything. Just watch any other news channel that's non-American. I don't know, read a book. I don't know. I'm not anti-American at all. Obviously, I grew up in California. I know exactly how this sort of thing comes about. Because being insular is part of life there, but and it's supposed why not? You know, you've got everything you want inside one country, but it is fucking hilarious when you see their just how American things like that are.
This podcast is not endorsed. No, just
So, happy 4th of July.
Always. I want a different opinion than mine. Obviously, I'm not an American. I have my own opinions about that sort of stuff. I'm just taking it back. And the fact of the matter is, I kind of like the fact that there is that very British culture stuff, movies and TV shows that I love and I grew up on. And I have my American culture stuff. So I've got the two pillars of Western society, is the British side and the American side, kind of hand in hand. And it was always funny to me that in a subtle way, a lot of American producers really want to have that British style and that British feeling. So they import a lot of stuff, like let's say The Office. But The Office, with how mean like Ricky Gervais didn't really work with Steve Carell. And then sort of when it came to season 2, it kind of changes into more Steve Carell and less Ricky Gervais. And it became the American Office, which was different.
Which is a standalone show, which is brilliant on its own. Now, I just have to point out, by the way, that you are probably more into like British TV and films than I am. I am balls deep in American culture when it comes to TV shows, and I would rather watch Scrubs than Monty Python, for example. Like that's just, and that will disgust you and probably anyone, even Americans my age. But that's just who I am. It's not, so I don't. It's nothing at all against American. But you're absolutely right about the American Office. The first episode was a direct take on trying to take off and just exaggerate it, one of the original Office episodes, and it failed badly. And then I think immediately, even within the first season, they started going, right, we need to move away from this. This is not hitting. And then they changed it. And that is, that show is probably as good, completely different, obviously. A lot of, you probably have to be British to a certain extent to really appreciate the original Office. But the American version is excellent, outstanding.
So Basic Instinct. No, just kidding. So I'm going back to what I was saying about the actresses that were trying to the actresses that were offered the role, because Sharon Stone, again, not a big movie star, but she agreed to a point, because there's some differences here. So Michelle Pfeiffer was she said that everything was fine with the script. It's just that she said, I'm very prudish. I look like I'm very outgoing, but I'm very prudish when it comes to sex. And I don't think she has a lot of role where she's even topless. And she said she would never do a movie like this, especially while her dad was alive.
Fair enough.
Emma Thompson was offered the role. Because her star in America was kind of rising because of stuff that she'd done with British films. And she said, I would do it, but everything would be flopping around, so I'd rather not.
I mean, nobody would watch.
That was her reason.
Yeah, I think that's the right call, because I can't see the same level of popularity being that. I mean, Sharon Stone, people already knew she was hot because of Total Recall and stuff. Emma Thompson does not have that same draw. And also Michael Douglas is probably like, no, I'm all right, thanks. He might not have wanted to work with Sharon Stone, but if you put those two options in front of him, there's only one winner.
Yeah. A few more actresses that were tapped. Jennifer Connelly, Linda Fiorentino, which actually did do a movie with Joe Esterhaus, a movie that was written by Joe Esterhaus called Jade, where her character was very much like Catherine Trammell, nudity, explicit sex, not as much, but the movie kind of flopped and went into obscurity. It's called Jade. Jamie Lee Curtis, Gina Gershon, Jennifer Tilly, Mariel Hemingway, who said she doesn't mind the nudity. It's just the explicit sex that kind of
Fine.
bothers her.
Yeah.
Carrie Fisher, Holly Hunter, Helen Hunt, and more, including, like I said, Kathleen Turner.
Yeah.
She turned it down. She said the nudity, it's not a big problem because she's done, was it Body Heat?
Yeah.
With Jeff Bridges, I think.
Wasn't that Kathleen Turner?
It was Kathleen Turner.
Yeah.
And she's like, I've done this, so I'll just.
I mean, of those, I think Jennifer Connelly would have got a lot of people our age into the cinema to watch that.
Well, she has done an explicit nudity movie with Don Johnson and I forgot
what it's called.
Virginia Madsen.
Fine.
I don't remember the name. Something with heat.
Okay.
People in chat might Google it up.
Yeah.
Jennifer Connelly did do it like an explicit one a couple of years before. I think it's 80, 88 or 89, something rather. She was very young, and she has a very, very explicit nudity scene.
Okay.
No. Was offered popcorn during the show. Nice. All right. So, you going to sleep? Good night. Good night. She's like, ooh, I can see myself on screen. Right. In terms of the famous leg crossing scene and the fact that the camera is very well positioned, plus there is a version, by the way, the first time I've ever seen that version was for this show, where it's focused for 5, 6, 7 frames, and then it zooms in, zooms out, but not really. You don't see the zoom. It just clicks. You see it, and then it's over. I think it's called the director's edition. It's plus 45 seconds extra. First time I've ever seen it is that where she crosses her legs. You can see her bush.
I think it rides the director's edition.
Okay, so the thing is this. There are stories that Sharon Stone told throughout the years that have changed every few years. There are stories that Paul Verhoeven told about what happened, and his version kind of changed every few years as well.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, Sharon Stone didn't want to do the scene as it was. She didn't mind doing the cross legs, but she wanted to have her underpants on. As she tells it, Paul kind of convinced her that it's within the character because
Come on, love, it's within character.
Because when you see her, there's the moment where Nick sees her get dressed with the dress and she doesn't wear underwear. Yeah. So if suddenly she crosses her legs and there is underwear there, it's a problem. It's a continuation problem.
I can see the problem.
That's sort of what she said at the beginning. And she's like, okay, Paul convinced me it's going to be a problem, so I'll do it. So they did it. At the end of the day, there were 3 people there. They were all from the Netherlands. They were all like Verhoeven people that worked with him for years and years and years. And there were the people who are generally in front of her that she does it, that the actors, they were not there. There was just, she was there with 3 people. That is it. Yes, it was the hotspot. Thank you, the Horror Cat Dad. Yes.
Thank you.
1990. The Jennifer Connelly remark. Verhoeven said, again, his story, that at the moment they were shooting that, everybody cleared off, and she actually took her panties down and gave it to him as a token. Sharon Stone vehemently denied that story from a certain point.
Right.
And like I said, in later versions of that story, she said that he tricked her and she didn't really want to do it. And she said that it wasn't supposed, the camera wasn't supposed to go as lower down as it was. And as soon as, And the first time she actually saw that particular scene was at the premiere, which Verhoeven said that that's a lie. She saw it in advance. She saw it like daily shots. She went to see it in the monitor right after she shot it, and she said she didn't like it, but it was okay.
Okay.
And
I'm only asking this because I know the chat's wondering, how did he trick Sharon Stone to get her pants off?
What, as a token?
No, I'm just joking. Kind of,
No.
Sorry, you missed that.
I missed that. The whole point is I tend to believe Verhoeven because he's a creepy bastard. Let's just say that. He's a creepy bastard. And once we talk about other movies that he's done, you'll understand why.
Okay.
He said, and this is the latest thing that latest interview that I've seen for this show, was around 2019, and he talked to the guy. The guy was like a European, I think it was a British guy, and it was a European kind of festival thing, and he said that Verhoeven said that I came from Europe, and in Europe, if it's not like all out sex, it's not a big deal. Again, and he meant both like full nudity, vagina and boobs.
Continental Western Europe, yeah, definitely.
Continental Western Europe.
Yeah.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
It's not, if it's not, like I said, it's not pornography. It's just regular nudity. It's not a big deal. So he didn't really think it would be that much of a deal. But as he saw the premieres, he said, well, I got why she didn't want it to be in the movie. She actually wanted to sue him. And he said, well, sue me. It's going to stay. And she didn't.
Right, okay.
Obviously. Joe, the writer, and Verhoeven actually fought a lot on stuff that was in the script, to the point where they argued about something that was going to change from the original script, from the original draft, and Joe left for a few weeks. Paul got a different writer to write in the changes, but what the other writer wrote didn't really sit well with Verhoeven, so he went to Joe, the writer, and he apologized. And Joe said, nobody ever apologized from Hollywood to me, so I just came back. And later on, they fought again, and Verhoeven had to apologize again.
Okay.
One of the things was Michael Douglas insisted that Nick Curran would not be bisexual. Remember I said that he was...
That's right, yeah.
Nick Curran was supposed to be a lesbian cop.
Yeah.
They changed it into a man, but they kept in the fact that he's a bisexual. And Michael Douglas was like, I am not doing anything with a man. Like, none. No
That's
kissing.
interesting.
No kissing, no hugging, no nothing.
Well, he
changed
his tune for Behind the Candelabra then, didn't he? Or maybe that's because he was too old for Matt Damon and he was getting bonus for it.
Possibly.
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
The whole movie was shot like a Hitchcock movie. Verhoeven was very inspired by Hitchcock, like the house on the water kind of a deal. The San Francisco setting was there because he liked Vertigo and how that feel with the, when the city kind of goes up and down.
Yeah.
And there's a shot right at the beginning, I'll show it in a minute, where you see Nick kind of coming into the murder scene. Kind of looks like a Vertigo kind of shot. There's another one where she goes to meet him at his place for the very first time. Kind of looks like the first time the male and female character in Vertigo kind of meet.
Right.
It kind of looks like the same house as well. It's not. I checked. The MPAA wanted to rate it X, or the new version of X, which was NC-17.
Right.
And that's why Paul Verhoeven had to cut out the zoom shot and 45 seconds away.
Got it.
To make it an R rating rather than an NC-17. Very, very interesting. And one last thing. The script during the filming, parts of it leaked, and it really didn't sit well with the gay community, especially filming in San Francisco and all that stuff. And they actually picketed outside in the San Francisco locations. And then they saw the movie, and then they absolutely flipped and they celebrated it as a gay-friendly movie because it didn't. The whole part about Catherine Trammell being a lesbian was not treated as sort of a bad thing. She was kind of the hero in a way because she was the powerful woman and all that stuff. She could be powerful, but she also can be vulnerable. She's a real human being. And the lesbian thing was not a thing. It was just one element of her thing. She wasn't a full lesbian, but...
No.
And that is about it. That is about it for the behind the scenes. Let's see what people said. Kim Basinger said no. Kim Basinger said no. Where was it? I saw it before. Where is it? About Dr. Quinn, Medicine Woman. Yes.
Yeah, Michael said, what about the Dr. Quinn lady?
Yes. She also was up for the role, also said no. It's Jane
Seymour. Yeah, someone else has written that as well.
She absolutely said no. No to the nudity, no to the sexual gratuity. And if I'm not mistaken, this is something that I actually checked 30 minutes before the show, so I can't confirm it. I remember when the movie came out, there were a few stories in the papers about Michael Douglas's wife separating from him right after she saw the movie because she actually thought they were having real sex. I can't confirm it. It's something that I remember from back in the day because she didn't actually divorce him in 92. She actually divorced him in 95.
After disclosure.
After the Demi Moore movie. By the way, Demi Moore was up for the role. Michael Douglas wanted her to do the role because she was sort of getting her face familiar at that point. She did the Robert Redford, Woody Harrelson movie,
the Indecent Proposal.
And that got her notoriety.
I think Ghost was her breakout after the whole.
Yeah, she was big after Ghost as well. So it was right around that time. So he wanted her to do the movie. She didn't want to do the sex scenes. Too bad. She did striptease. It was fucking awful.
Terrible. Absolutely terrible.
Yes. So, you know what? Before we kind of start analyzing the movie, let's do our first game of the night.
Yes.
It's your favorite. It is Missing Marquee. Missing Marquee is where we take 10 posters of movies, have their text written off, we display them, and Jay, you're close to being championship level.
Close. Where's Paul Harley or whatever his name is? He needs to stay out. He's too good.
Paul Harley today, but he's really good. Let me just share my screen, and we'll just go.
Oh, that's Clockwork Orange, is it?
That is not Clockwork Orange.
That is, I know what this is. Hang on. Oh, come on.
Chat participation is most welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's set in Austria.
Well, that doesn't help. That my guess is the Sound of Music then, but it's not that. I don't know what that is.
It's about sound. It's not Sound of Music.
Oh, of course it is.
Monkey Genius has got it. It is Amadeus.
I love that film. What the hell is that?
That is a woman splayed apart.
I don't know what that is. No.
It has something to do with the color.
What, blue? Is it Blue Hotel or something?
People are going to get this wrong. It is not the main.
Blue Velvet?
Blue Velvet is correct.
Can you zoom in on the little guy? I don't know what that is, but I can only guess it's Excalibur or something like that.
It is not Excalibur, no.
Who the hell are those people?
This is Michelle Pfeiffer
Yeah.
and Matthew Broderick. And Mikey Jeebus has got it again,
God,
lady.
I'm getting stuffed here. Monkey Jeebus is all over me here. Right. Okay. Is that like Monster-in-Law?
It is not Monster-in-Law.
It's Mother Dearest or something like that. Or
Mother. It is, I'll give it that. It is Mother-in-Law.
Fine. Okay. All right. Okay. That is probably The Omen.
That is not The Omen, no.
Hang on. Is that Freddy 5 the Dream Child?
No.
I don't know who that woman is.
It is, oh, I'm terrible with name. She was married to Woody Allen.
Oh, I won't know then.
There we go. The
yeah,
horror cat dad, Rosemary's Baby.
Yeah, Monkey Jeebus was on it as well. Right, that's too old, but is it Breakfast at Tiffany's?
That is not Breakfast at Tiffany's.
I don't know what it is then. You've stitched me here. I haven't got any of these properly. Last time you gave me foreign films.
That's not foreign.
No, I know. I said last time you gave me foreign films.
Well,
But that is what one of the Hepburns. Oh yeah, okay.
there
fine.
we go. Becky's got it. It is Sabrina.
Yeah, okay.
The original Sabrina.
I mean,
We've covered this film as well.
yeah, I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that is.
It
I,
is Evil Dead.
I have never seen Evil Dead, Rise of the Living Dead, any of that stuff. So, right, okay, that is that the one where he's blind?
No.
Elizabeth Shue and Val Kilmer. That is.
Let's just say this. It is based on a British
It's not.
TV show.
That was The Saint,
starring
right?
Roger Moore.
Yeah, The Saint.
The Saint is correct.
As Towering Inferno.
The Towering Inferno is correct.
Oh, terrible there. Terrible there. Yeah.
And you usually
I know, but those you either know it or you don't. They're all easy if you know them, but yeah.
it always like that. Like
Yeah, exactly.
if I would have gotten not those 10 specifically, but
Yeah.
if I would have gotten like a random 10 from what I've got, I would
Yeah.
probably be like 7 out of 10,
Yeah,
6
yeah.
out of 10. It's very easy when you know. It's very hard when you're like,
Yeah, quite, yeah.
what
Yeah,
the
well,
fuck?
congratulations, Monkey Jeebus and Horror Cat Dad. You both did very well there.
Yeah. I like
They're
it
on
when
all of them.
people like are trying. Sometimes it's
Becky was good as
very,
well.
very hard. Sometimes people know and they just don't type.
Yeah,
It happened like a few weeks back when I got like a DM from someone. It was like, dude, I knew all those movies. I was like, why didn't you say anything?
yeah.
Type it. Even if it's on delay.
Well,
No,
here's the
so
issue.
good.
So when I was doing this, not last week, but the week before, I was on my phone, right? And it's a tiny bit of delay if you're not on the laptop. I can almost keep up with Paul, but on my phone, there's a bit of a delay, and he's already typed it in before I've even started typing. So, yeah,
Yeah, and what I did was a while back, I lowered the latency of the show to the utmost, like ultra slow mo, which
Yeah.
means I cannot broadcast at 4K. Wow, what a shocker!
Yeah, I
It's
know.
Still, on the phone, it has a little bit of problems, and like people watch this more and more on the TV, which is great, which is
Yeah.
awesome. But the delay on the chat is significantly larger to what you see on TV. So
I'm Starlink anyway, so you won't get me on 4K. Also, I don't think EV Mux only lets up to 1080, doesn't it? Or even lets you go for the top premium.
like
Yeah.
I said, it's not a big issue. 1080p
Yeah.
is fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. I mean, most of it is us talking, so it's not a big problem.
Yeah, quite.
I don't mind. I don't need like 4K stuff. I don't like. I've watched it on my 4K TV.
Yeah.
It's good enough.
You can see enough of my wrinkles in 1080. Thank you very much. So
enough of my wrinkles, and I'm sitting far away from the camera.
yeah, fair enough.
Right. Cool. So let's start off with the movie. The movie is a sort of a Hitchcockian noir kind of a thing. It's a bit of a change to what Joe Esterhaus envisioned it, and he didn't really envision the whole sex and nudity stuff, apparently. And it kind of starts with a sex scene that I can't even show parts of it. From every single angle, you can see either blood, ass, or tits.
Yeah.
So can't really, you know.
So Mephisto and I will be recreating it for the viewers.
Later on, once the show is done. But yes, you know what happens. It's the white silk scarf, the guy being tied up, having sex, and getting murdered with an ice pick. By the way, one of the comments that I've seen, I didn't write it down. I just thought it was funny. Somebody wrote, well, in 1992, this movie would have been like 5 minutes long because they would have used forensic analysis and DNA evidence, and the girl would have been caught like that.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Doe Baffett, whatever, is just pointing out the same thing. It's exactly right. Yeah.
Doe Fett.
Doe Baffett, thank you.
Yeah, it's exactly what I read. It's so weird. It's somebody just left a comment, which is so random. Showed.
This is boring. Sorry, this is boring chat. But when did they allow DNA evidence into? When did the courts in America allow DNA evidence? Because it wasn't. It was quite late here, but I think it was after 92 here.
According to what they said, the FBI started DNA evidence back in 1990, submitting it to the courts, having it cleared, and all that stuff.
I believe we were later, but I'm not sure.
They could use DNA, but they couldn't get it into the courts.
Bit like polygraph, fine.
Yeah. Same goes with this stuff. The polygraph does come into sort of a question in this movie as well. I had the kind of the first part as Nick kind of gets into the murder scene, because I wanted to show exactly what Paul Verhoeven and his cinematographer wanted to get is those downward slope streets of San Francisco with the very specific housing type stuff that he really wanted to capture, that sort of vertigo feel that kind of carries on into other Hitchcockian movies. He wanted that feel. And it's so strange because Michael Douglas kind of started his way into like acting in a TV show about a cop in San Francisco.
What was that in?
I don't remember then. It's like San Francisco Law, something like that.
Jillian's on some serious delay here.
Oh, yeah.
Someone needs to press the live button.
Well, it happens.
Yeah.
Happened to me once. I was watching, I think I was watching FNT late at night and didn't realize I paused it for 10 minutes.
I'm sure they were saying exactly the same thing when you unpaused it, so don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about it. Streets of San Francisco.
Thank you.
San Francisco. That's the thing. Yeah. And as soon as he gets in, we already kind of see that dynamic of we kind of get familiarized with the Nick Curran character. He has that altercation with everybody there. They keep mentioning the fact that he was, under probation of sorts or under an eye. They kind of mention that he shot these tourists. I don't think they mentioned the tourists right there, but
they don't. No, the tourists come in later.
Something happened, and he goes sort of like, "Oh, don't you have an appointment with therapist?"
Yeah,
and he's like, "Yeah, I have to get to an appointment." But they do get the Catherine Trammell's address in the city, and he goes to check everything up, and what he gets was not really Catherine Trammell. He gets rocks.
Yeah.
Right. And as soon as you see this, even if you haven't watched this entire movie ever in your life and just watched it for this podcast, that first kind of interaction took me back because, well, you see the blonde chick killing the guy. and then you see this, and she looks annoyed and ready to kill Nick at the same time.
Yeah. She's
But
aggro, this one. She's
Yeah,
got an edge. She's
we
got a massive
got-
chip on her shoulder.
Exactly. So we kind of get to know Roxy a little bit later on, but this is the point where like, oh shit, maybe it's not Catherine. Maybe it's this girl. You don't know, and you have that and the thing is, you have that feeling throughout this movie, where even when you get presented with things, you don't actually know, and that's where the script was really good, because the script is very specific, and the movie kind of got away with it because Verhoeven wanted it to be very rambunctious. He actually said he wanted to have the first mainstream movie with an erect penis in it.
What an achievement.
He didn't get it.
No.
The FAA said no.
What a life goal that is.
Well, yeah. He did say, well, I did get the Boz character with his penis out,
Yeah.
but it was like you can barely see it. Plus, it's not erect. He's dead.
Right. Does that count? Or is that rigor mortis? It still looks the same, doesn't it? And they're not gonna. It's not an actual dead person playing it. So do you assume it's a man with a boner playing a dead person if he's got a boner?
I don't think he had a boner.
No, I know. But if it was erect, anyway, we're moving off topic. Carry on.
He was the actor, and he was naked with
Yeah.
like 70 people there
Yeah.
for what, 2 seconds?
Yeah.
As the sort of panning shot going through.
Yeah.
And of course, once they don't get Catherine Trammell, they get her new address and they go out to see her, him and Gus.
Yeah.
And they kind of get to her and it's like, oh, your boyfriend is dead. It's like, it's not my boyfriend. I just fuck him.
Yeah.
And they're both kind of taken aback. It's like, what do you mean? It's like, yeah, I like to fuck him, but I don't love him and he's not my boyfriend.
Yeah.
And she asked them questions, and they're the worst cops ever. They divulge all the information.
Hang
Like,
on. They're not the worst cops ever, just so you know. I mean, I do Lifetime movies, so they are. They're the better police than I've seen for years. But yeah, they're terrible police by normal standards.
The whole point is like, yeah, if she may be a suspect, right?
Yeah.
And they tell her how exactly he got killed.
Yeah.
She can say, well, I never used an ice pick before to anything. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why would you tell her that thing? They could have just said, well, he was shot or something, right? It was just weird. But this whole movie is weird because they're not the best. Like, all the cops are not the best cops. Even the AI, the IA guys, they're not the best.
No. And then you've got the ones that goad each other in the bar, but that's another story for later.
Yeah. So Nick makes his appointment, and we get introduced to Beth, and we get to see their dynamic together. We kind of get from their back and forth that they used to date or used to fuck or whatever, and it kind of broke off. We know that he hasn't touched any booze or cigarettes for 3 months. We kind of get the timeline of, okay, something happened 3 months ago. He was, under investigation, so he had to, not drink, go to therapy, get a favorable opinion, and not smoke altogether. So leave everything, all the vices behind.
Yeah.
Including basically sex. There's a moment where he lifts up his left hand, not his right, and he says, well, I have calluses in my hand.
Yeah.
Meaning his sex life is bad just with his own, with himself. I want to move forward. To basically the most important kind of scene leading up to the leg crossing. So they wanna get Catherine Trammell to come and talk to them. They go to the DA. Wayne Knight is the DA. There's a story with Wayne Knight, the guy who plays in Seinfeld.
Never seen it.
Never seen Seinfeld?
No, I know. I knew you'd be annoyed about that, but I've never seen it.
It's fine. He's like Seinfeld's Newman. Thank you, Newman. The guy from downstairs. He's like the arch nemesis of Seinfeld.
I know who's in it. I know there's the little fat guy with the glasses. I know
Yeah.
there's the tall guy who said the N word, and I know Jerry Seinfeld. That's the only ones I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Wayne Knight, the actor, did this movie. Steven Spielberg saw him in this movie and got him to do Jurassic Park.
It's
in
hang
Jurassic
on.
Park.
What's his face? Dennis.
I don't remember the name of the character.
Who is he in Jurassic Park? What does he do? Is it Hawaiian shirt, fat guy with glasses?
Yes.
Right, fine, yeah. The guy with the barber solve. Got him, yeah. I know.
Yep.
Dennis
Exactly.
something. I want to say Dennis Nielsen, but that's the guy who buried people in his pipes. So not him. Anyway, Crown.
The whole point is, so they get the okay because they explain the fact that she doesn't want an attorney because evidently she has nothing to hide. The whole point is the murder is just like the murder she wrote in a book years ago.
Right.
Years ago.
That's
That's
right,
the
yeah.
whole point. So they go to her. They talk about the fact that she literally the book kind of supplied her with an alibi because who would be stupid to write a book about how you killed somebody and then actually kill them the same way? I'm looking at you, O.J. Simpson. He just did it the other way around because he's dumb. R.I.P. And they're sitting in the car, and one of the things she mentions is she knows he's not drinking. She knows he shot the two tourists.
Yeah.
And she kind of knows he doesn't smoke because she offers him a smoke. I think he mentions the fact that he stopped
Yeah.
when they come to arrest her. And then she's sitting there and she offers him a smoke. And she said, well, I told you I'm not smoking.
At that point, it might be good to mention that he hasn't been wanking either.
Well, no, he has callous.
Sorry, he has been having sex then. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
And she seems to know a lot about him. And
Yeah.
he's like, what the fuck is going on here? He's sort of losing his footing at this point until he's completely swept. And then, of course, we have the scene with the dress. Of course, when they come to arrest her, she's not dressed for the part.
Yeah.
And she starts to undress quite literally almost in front of Nick. And Nick goes around to actually take a good gander of that ass
Yeah.
to make sure he doesn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Working on those calluses. Working up some stuff for the callus bank.
exactly. So she sits there and they kind of grill her about the fact that her former husband, Manny Ramirez or Rodriguez, was a boxer and he was killed in the ring. So she definitely didn't kill him then, I guess.
Yeah.
And they kind of bring up all her thing, and she grills them back, which is an odd thing for an interrogation.
Yeah.
And they mention the book, and they mention everything else, and the fact that she said, "Well, I basically supplied my own alibi. I'm not that stupid, but I'm willing to take a polygraph." And at that point in time, if you go through the polygraph and you do okay or do fine, then you probably are off the hook. And she does take the polygraph, and Nick is the only one who is like, "Yeah, I don't buy it."
Yeah.
And they ask her, "Well, why don't you buy it?" "Well, you can work the machine." He doesn't say you can work the machine, but he kind of hints the fact that he beat the machine when he did the polygraph.
Yeah.
It's that whole point of, again, you kind of get hints about what's going on. So you've got your own conclusions. My conclusion is he beat the machine before because, what happened 3 months ago.
Okay.
But it's not out there.
I didn't take it from that. I just took it from the fact that, you can beat a polygraph. I think I don't know anything about this, but I've heard that if you're a what's the word, sociopath, that you don't feel anything when you lie, that it doesn't register. But so it only works it doesn't work on the worst people. But I don't know. That's just a rumor.
See, this is where I was heading because I was hinting on the fact that there's a lot of ambiguity and a lot of working of the mind. The whole point of the movie, or the whole point of this whole detective story, is the fact that both Catherine, there's sort of not really a love triangle, but sort of a triangle between Nick, Catherine, and Beth, where as the movie progresses...
Yeah, as it progresses,
Catherine is very fascinated with Nick, and we don't actually know why until a certain point. Beth is the same way. She's very into Nick, and Nick is the one that kind of pushes her away.
Yeah.
He's not interested in her because of his own reasons. We don't know.
Yeah.
But Catherine is not just interested in Nick like hibbity jibbity. She does a lot of research on him. She may or may not have access to the file from Nielsen, the guy from IA.
Nielsen, that's it, yeah.
Right? We don't actually know it. We know that the file kind of went through Beth at some point. Again, we don't know. A lot of the stuff that we know are kind of at the viewpoint of Nick, where he doesn't know who is lying to him. And he's got two conflicting women telling him two conflicting things that may or may not sit together, and it drives him completely mad. But as the movie goes on, we know why Catherine is invested in Nick is the fact that she thinks he's a sociopath.
Right.
She's very interested in people that are have kind of sociopathic disposition. Boz was kind of that way. The woman that she frequently goes to visit.
The woman in the 50-year-old that killed her kids.
Yeah, the 50-year-old that killed her entire family out of one day, just killed everybody off. She wrote a book about it and all that stuff.
I'll be very impressed if anyone in the chat can remember that woman's name at this point.
Well, I guess.
Yeah.
The whole point is Catherine is very interested. Hazel Dobkins.
I think that's definitely close if it's not spot on. Very good.
I think that's spot on.
Yeah.
The whole point is Catherine is very interested in people who are sociopath or have sociopathic behavior, and that kind of thrills her. That kind of jazzes her up, and that's what she sees in Nick.
And that's because she's a doctor of psychology, is that right? Or she's a
literature major and a psychology major.
That's
so
right, yeah.
She both likes to write, and she's interested in what drives people, like their behavior.
Yeah.
And again, we don't know Nick is a sociopath. We just know he can beat the polygraph, which is very close to what sociopaths do.
Fine.
And he had no problems getting over the people he shot. It's sort of on the job kind of a thing, or at least from Nick's point of view. He doesn't know why everybody makes such a big deal out of him shooting innocent people, basically. That's what my conclusion is. Like I said, that's how I view it. And it's sort of interesting because he wanted to solve this thing. He was really into who really did it, as Catherine kind of pulls him, kind of reels him in as the movie progresses. And the first kind of inkling to him being corrupted after that interview is them sitting at the bar. And he's like, well, let's have a double jack. Let's have another double as well. And that's where he has that altercation with Nilsson and kind of get to know Nilsson in a way. And it sets up their argument later on when he kind of talks to Catherine. Catherine divulges stuff that is on that file. And he goes to Nilsson and he kind of confronts him in IA. And then Nilsson gets killed. And of course, once he gets killed, why I would be stupid to go and have a confrontation in front of everybody and then kill him, mirroring Catherine with the book.
Quite.
And that's when we opened up the thing and I asked you about the movie. What I wanted to get from you is exactly that when you saw this for the first time, you were probably a teenager and saw it for a reason. You said that you didn't like it.
To be honest, I didn't even know what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. I was just waiting for the bits. So
Exactly.
and when I say a teenager, I mean I was young, 15. Like, yeah, I mean it's a teenager, but like for me at 15 is like everyone else at 11. So,
Well, I'll get to this. The whole point is this movie is a lot of thinking and psychology and how people work or don't work. And if you're not into it, and if you're just into the sort of noir detective story, you can find stuff that you like. But if you're into that whole psychology of, Beth could have been, a crazy person. Nick could have been a crazy person. Catherine could have been crazy. Or all three could have at some point. We don't know. There's a lot of stuff that is hidden and you don't actually know, which actually hooks you in because you really want to find out what is going on.
it's also a pretty easy plot tool for a writer, isn't it? By the way, it's a mystery and everyone in this is mental. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
But what I found, especially on this time around, I found a lot of stuff that I really, really liked that I don't think 30-year-old me would have liked, or even 25-year-old me would have liked.
100%. I totally agree. Like it is definitely like I think it hit the wrong audience at the start. Like I honestly believe that that it is a much better film than you'd assume it was, just because of sort of like the soft core thing attached to it. If it didn't have that, it would probably be looked at in a more favorable light, I would have thought.
And it's sort of weird. I will mention it when we do Starship Troopers. Is Verhoeven set out to do one movie, and he actually made a different movie.
Right.
He wanted to do a Hitchcockian thriller with explicit sex elements.
Yeah.
And he got a really good psychological thriller that has Hitchcockian cinematics in it,
Yeah.
but a very deep psychological kind of I don't know how you call it, sort of an examination or an exploration into how deep the psychotic mind can go without going into full Hitchcock. Sort of a new noir in a way, but not really, because you don't have.
I love how Americans say noir. Like I said, I know you're not American, but you all say noir.
Oh, wow.
But I love it because you always use that word as well. I remember I was watching your one a few weeks ago, and I think it might.
What, Payback?
Yeah, that's right. And it was literally every other sentence. It's brilliant.
Well,
Anyway, sorry to interrupt.
The whole point is, it's sort of a new kind of a detective story. There is a sort of elements that kind of get revealed bit by bit, and you get the information is fed to you not only through Nick's going out to Sausalito and checking out with other cops what was going on, trying to track Beth's past, because it kind of gets revealed through Catherine after they have sex that, oh, there was a girl who was hung up on me. Maybe she's the one that killed everybody, you know?
Yeah.
She doesn't say that specifically, but those breadcrumbs that go bit by bit, as she said, well, I said Lisa Uberman, but it's not Uberman, it's Huberman.
Yeah, that's it.
But to me, as soon as she said that, I thought like 2 sentences before that, she said, "What? You're checking up on me? Like
Yeah.
you're mistrusting me? But we have not relationship, but we have sex.
Yeah.
Doesn't am I not an open book to you? Am I lying to you?" She just again, not outright says it, but it's sort of implied. Why are you checking up on me?
Which is madness, because not only is she a murder suspect, but she spent the whole time lying. So, I mean, like, or acting like a mentalist.
But like I said, the first sign of corruption. Oh well, I can't show that. I can show this.
Right.
Yeah, you can see what I'm.
Yeah, I can see
it's very tiny, but you can see.
Yeah.
The whole point is, after the bar, he goes with Beth, and they have really rough sex. Jean Tripplehorn. This was her debut movie, and she said she didn't mind like doing the sex scene, but she didn't think she would have a bump on her head at the end of it.
Yeah.
Which was, kind of a rough thing. And as soon as the sex ended, he was like, "I really need a cigarette," which was like, okay, the booze and the cigarette are coming back, so that means Nick is kind of reverting back to where he was before he shot those 2 tourists.
Yeah.
Which is, a thing. Right. Thank you, Jillian N, for another 5 gifted subs. Thank you. Most appreciated.
That is an outstanding name for your members, by the way. Outstanding.
It really helps me get me going. I know it's a drop in the bucket for some people. To me, it's a lot. It really is a lot, and it does help with keeping me going. It's not. Let me say this. I have a real job. I would probably not quit that job. It's really good to me. But I like doing the YouTube thing. I really do. It's sort of to me, it's sort of a therapy. And I talk to Jay behind the scenes, and we talk a lot on DMs on this whole YouTube thing. Not to bore you, not going off a tangent, but we do talk and we do share kind of, the ups and downs of things, especially because we're kind of at the same level of subs and we kind of have the same interests. And it really is frustrating. And you giving even your time, not only your money, hard-earned money, giving your time it does a lot for me, and I know it does a lot for Jay. So
yeah, I mean, personally, I find like even people leaving comments and stuff like sometimes you get the odd comment which is someone you've never heard from before that says, "Oh, I really enjoy this. Thanks very much." And it does make a lot of difference. So if you do enjoy whatever you're watching, if you do enjoy stuff, do leave a comment saying, like, telling the person, "I really enjoy this." It does make a big difference.
Yeah, thank you. All right, back to the movie. I know we kind of went back and forth, but it's fine. It's all good. I wanted to, like I said, kind of the corruption of Nick started, and as the movie progresses towards that point where they do finally have sex, which again, this is the cop who leads the investigation. She's the main suspect, right?
That's got to be hot. Let's be honest. That is the forbidden fruit taken. That's like someone else's wife. That's better. It is so wrong. It's got to be right.
Awesome. And this is the point where she kind of divulges the fact that she knows about all the shooting. We kind of know about the one shooting. She says 4 in 5 years, all accidents. Kind of puts it in a different light. Kind of puts it in a much different light.
Yeah.
We're like, what is going on? And of course, that's the moment where Roxy comes into the play, and Catherine, you can see Catherine smiling. It's like, what did you think? I'm like, I don't care. I don't care about bars. I don't care about things. Like Roxy's my girl.
Yeah.
I do this for fun. And Nick is, I would say livid. Livid is a kind word.
Yeah.
He is pissed.
Yeah.
He's not been drinking that much. He is pissed.
Right. I think livid is I find that as the strongest word for angry. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like furious and livid.
Yeah.
I always say
He's
livid.
really furious to the point where when Beth kind of comes by to check up on him, he's like, get the fuck out of here and give me my keys back.
Yeah. She is also livid.
Kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of. She doesn't understand why, and he's like, just give me my keys and get the fuck out. Please leave me be.
Yeah.
Because he's annoyed. And again, he goes to do the altercation with Nielsen, and then, of course, Nielsen gets shot. And the whole point is once he gets shot, he goes into the same interrogation room, and we have, like I said, a mirror image of what Catherine is. So he sits there. He doesn't do the cross legs and definitely doesn't have a bush out, but he sits there and he answers questions. By the way, one of the actors is the guy playing Skinner in X-Files. Beautiful. Great casting, by the way.
Never seen it.
If you know, you know.
Right, okay.
He always plays the FBI agent who's like the counter to whatever your main guy is. He's the counter to that always.
Is this the fat guy?
Oh, the bald guy, the big bald guy.
Oh, okay, fine, right.
This one.
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, got him. Yeah.
You saw him, right?
He's always the guy if there's a meeting with the president, he's always like the bad general that doesn't want to take it. Yeah.
He's always the counter to something.
Yeah,
and
that's
he's
right. The goodie is normally the bodyguard guy, the ginger bald one that's in 24 and stuff like that. And then he's always the bad one.
Not this guy.
Yeah.
It's the other dude sitting next to him. It's like you saw. It's really hard to stop right at the second it happens.
Yeah, hang on. Let me show him up. And then it's not, but there's a Ned Ryerson is in this as well, isn't he?
I don't know.
Ned Ryerson from Groundhog Day.
Dude, me and names, no. Just
No, his name is Ned Ryerson in Groundhog Day. He's the guy that tries to sell insurance to Phil.
Oh, okay.
Not
I
Phil
know who you're
Never
talking
mind.
about.
Okay.
No, that's the psychiatrist you're talking about.
I know. I said he's in this as well, but he looks like a nicer version of the guy we're talking about.
Yeah, it's later on after he leaves the office where Beth. Let's just call it what it is. The department kind of tells him that he has to go through these. He goes through Beth and the two psychologists, but before that, they sit with that guy. Again, the guy who mentioned, and he kind of tells you the lowdown on who could be the killer.
Yeah, exactly.
So on the one hand, it could be Catherine acting out what she wrote because it's her fantasy. On the other hand, it could be someone connected to her who copycats the book.
Yeah.
And that's where your mind goes all the time. Is it this? No. Is it that? It could be Catherine. Maybe it's once the Beth angle
and
comes.
I think that's the moment when that became like a normal standard thriller to me to actually become a really good film. Like not only at that part, but at the bit where she starts talking about this girl from college who turns out. I think that's like it's a proper it's a decent crescendo, isn't it? I suppose. Yeah,
and you know what's weird? It happens closer to the end, like the whole sex.
Yeah.
The whole sex scene, the whole going to the club and then going off to have sex, that stuff comes in an hour plus into the movie. And we're like, and you go ahead.
There's the Hitchcock, isn't there? There's the Hitchcock. Watch the first hour, nothing happens. Then the last, it's like a toned down version of The Usual Suspects, where you sit there for two and 3/4 hours and think this film's crap, and then the last 15 minutes you walk out and go, "Wow, that was brilliant."
Yeah. That was. I think we covered it. It's in Rear Window. It's kind of like, yeah, you think you saw, but you didn't see, and everybody else around you kind of like think they see, but they don't see. At the very end, it kind of goes into like ultra mode where it just goes. Yeah. But yeah, this apartment, Nick's apartment, looks like James Stewart apartment in Vertigo.
Yeah.
Looks about the same. It's
Yeah.
weird. It's so weird.
I'm a massive fan of that film, and I watched your whole episode on it, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I found a really new appreciation for that film.
Well, actually, I'd watched it loads of times, but I'd only realised when I watched your thing that it was Perry Mason that was the baddie. I never put that together, and just like I never realised that it was Robert Duvall in the that other black and white one, the one about To Kill a Mockingbird.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't realise it was him for ages. Oh, crazy.
I haven't seen that in a while.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that in a long while. So, they go to the club where Nick looks 70 years older than everybody else. Catherine goes out, and does some. Oh, the fact that she brings out the Coke, that's the only vice that was implied that Nick was doing, and he vehemently denied.
Yeah.
It's the only drug or vice that Nick kind of vehemently denies. And you never see him do coke in this movie whatsoever. No. Which is kind of, to me, the only thing that was just on the edge of, if he just did those drugs, he would have been like completely corrupted.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's the straw that breaks the camel's back. I do want to point out in this scene, old guys in a club is pretty accurate. Yeah, but I want to point out Roxy's dancing in the club when she's like, "That is brilliant. What the hell is that about?" So unfortunately, we can't show it. It is an incredible dance.
The epitome of white girl dancing.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing. It's a weird thing.
It makes Ryan's intro look down with the kids.
Yeah. This is where I wanted to mention it. I had it in my notes. I didn't mention it before. One of the things that got Sharon Stone cast wasn't actually the fact that she worked with Paul Verhoeven, although he knew her while working on Total Recall, and he mentioned it in one of the interviews I've seen, is the fact that from all the other actresses, they couldn't turn on a dime the way Sharon Stone did. And what do I mean by that?
I know what you mean.
In Total Recall, there's a moment where her character gets sort of caught by Arnold Schwarzenegger. And she's at the point of the gun, and she's like,
"Hey, Doug.
Oh, honey, darling, haven't we been together in the past 2 years? Like, haven't our marriage meant anything to you?" Yeah. And he shoots her between the eyes, and he says, "I considered it a divorce." And the whole point is, a few seconds before that, she was kicking his ass.
Yeah.
And she looked like she wanted to kill him.
Yeah.
And Paul Verhoeven said that turn on the dime between a lover and a fighter was really good. And he said, you can see that in her eyes that she could do it. And this is the performance he wanted her to do it. Because there are several points in the movie where she speaks softly to Nick, and she even cries. You see her cry, which kind of means she's not a sociopath, but let's put that aside.
Yeah.
But then she's toying with him like a cat, right? She has that smirk of, "I'm going to kill you in your sleep," kind of a smirk, where she calls him Nikki, and Nick is like, only my ex-wife called me Nikki.
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Well,
That sort of a thing.
Yeah. No, she is. I think she's a really good actress. I mean, in this, she does this better than anyone I can imagine else doing it.
And this is the look I was going for. I paused it here. This is probably the only shot I can have from this.
From this scene. Yeah.
It's very elaborate. Both Douglas and Stone had to wear protective gear on their junk.
Right.
And the only reason, it wasn't for shame or anything. It was literally during the AIDS kind of height.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson came out with HIV a couple of years or a year before that. So it was the height of AIDS. And what they wanted to do is just make sure there is no genitalia touching. Otherwise, no problem. Because they were supposed to be fully naked. You can see everything. And Sharon Stone called it, what did she call it? She called it high-level dancing naked.
Right. Okay.
For the choreography, for what they did, which is very interesting. And then, of course, he goes to the bathroom basically, and he meets with Roxy, and come to find out that she was watching. She was all the time. She was watching with other people, but somehow he's different for some bizarre reason.
Yeah.
Where she was getting annoyed, she was getting angry because of why. We don't actually know why, because she doesn't really explain it to him or to us.
Yeah.
He keeps calling her Rocky. Yeah, he calls her Rocky, not Roxy. Kind of hinting, remember her first, it's a thought, I don't know. The fact that her first husband was a boxer, the Rocky connection is there.
I always thought it was just, when you get people's names wrong deliberately over and over just to dismiss them. I think it's that.
The fact of the matter is, it could be both.
Yeah.
It kind of is a good happenstance to have her like Roxy and Rocky. Remember, Joe, who wrote the script, this is one of the things he evidently didn't change. Her name in the script is Roxy.
Yeah.
And Nick calls her Rocky.
Yeah.
So I don't, there are some things you don't know if it's happenstance or deliberate.
I was expecting a threesome at some point, I have to admit.
I think there was something that was supposed to happen between those three, and it really didn't.
Yeah.
Which led to her trying to get him off the road and kill him, and evidently killing herself. Which
a few people in the chat have mentioned this, that they prefer Beth to Catherine. They would have gone for Beth over Catherine. I'm totally in the other camp there. Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
Too. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, I would have.
Fair enough. I seem to be in the minority here.
I prefer Jean Triplehorn, her face and her body to Sharon Stone's body.
Fair enough. Each to their own.
Yeah. I don't knock anybody else. I just prefer.
I mean, obviously, I'd shag both, but I'm just saying I prefer one of them. So.
Yeah. So this is right after, I think.
Yeah. This is when he keeps saying it's the fuck of the century, and it's really weird.
Yeah, and it's really, really weird.
Yeah. And
she is sort of over him at this point. This is before Roxy gets killed. Remember this. Yeah. And Michael Myers said Roxy was so grumpy. Yes. She was inexplicably too angry about Nick and not angry about anybody else. You can't say, well, Catherine is like this. She sleeps with whoever she wants, blah, blah, blah. And Roxy gets to watch. Yeah. So at a certain point, she was like, this is okay, this is enough. I want you for myself kind of a deal.
I think also in the 90s, there was a thing that all lesbians were angry, wasn't it?
again, maybe this is the part that leaked in the script, and the entire community was up in arms. I don't know.
No, quite.
I couldn't find any information that says this is it. So I can't really tell. Plus, in the movie is deliberately ambiguous, as we said. I want to move a little bit forward. Yeah, Roxy gets killed. Okay. We'll stop here.
Okay.
Because I want to play the second game of the night. Join us for this. It is called Screen Fighter.
Round 1, fight.
Screen Fighter is where we take two movies, pit them together, and see which one is the best one. If there's no discernible difference between the two, both of them are good, both of them are bad, we fall into our criteria, which is Saturday evening, Friday evening, out with the boys, out with the girls, out with your significant other. Two movies in a vacuum. Which one will we pop in? Very apropos, but for a whole different reason. The Nutty Professor or Monty Python's The Meaning of Life.
God. That is Sophie's choice.
Wait.
All right.
Chat participation is most welcome. Just say the movie you would prefer. No questions asked.
I'll give chat a minute.
No. You go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, I'm going with Nutty Professor.
Okay. Reason?
I don't get Monty Python at all. I just don't understand it.
Yeah. I equate the Nutty Professor as one more block to the road of current day Eddie Murphy.
I get it, and it's probably up there with Big Mama's House and stuff, but I'd be honest, I would rather watch Big Mama's House Part 3 like mother, like daughter, or whatever, like father, like son, than fucking Monty Python. I just don't understand Monty Python.
I agree with Boba Fett. The Meaning of Life was not good. There are good moments in it, but on the whole, I understood what they were going for, but I didn't quite like it.
Yeah.
I still like parts of it. I don't like the Nutty Professor in hindsight. By the way, Jada Pinkett Smith is in it. As the
quite. I would also point out that the original Nutty Professor with what's his name? The
Jerry Lewis.
Yeah, is quite good.
It's really
in comparison. Yeah.
It's really good. It's just less bells and whistles.
Yeah.
Star Trek First Contact or Motel Hell. I have not seen Motel Hell, so I'm going to switch that over.
Okay.
Oh, here we go. Robin Hood Men in Tights or Star Trek First Contact.
Right. Okay. I mean, I'm not a big Trek fan. Right. I mean, I like some of it's all right, but I've got to go for Men in Tights. I'm not a big fan, but my ex-girlfriend absolutely loved that.
Okay.
And I watched it a couple of times, and just to see someone else laughing so much at it made me find it funny.
I want to say to Jillian in the chat, if you haven't seen, we covered The Meaning of Life on the show. So if you haven't seen it, go check it out. You might find stuff that I said that you don't like, but Oh My Feelings said it enough for me. I'm going to go with Robin Hood Men in Tights. It's a Mel Brooks classic. It has Dave Chappelle in it. Dave Chappelle can do almost no wrong. Plus, it had the first English guy playing Robin Hood.
Well,
ever.
Yeah.
Ever.
Not ever.
No, he is the first guy ever.
Now, hang on.
Play Robin Hood.
Although Sean Connery.
Movie.
Oh, in a Hollywood movie. Okay, fine. Because Errol Flynn, are we saying he's Irish?
Errol Flynn wasn't English. He was
so you're saying, okay, fine. So Errol Flynn's Irish. Hang on.
Not British.
Kevin Costner obviously isn't. Who else is? There must be. I don't believe this.
No.
That's something for me to look into later.
You check it out. He's like the first English guy to play Robin Hood. And
Errol
even
Flynn was Tasmanian, right? Okay.
He's I think he says it not, I'm the first English guy to play it. It's like, I'm the first guy to play Robin Hood with the correct accent.
So Carrie, whatever his face is,
Carrie Elves.
Is American.
No, he's British.
He is. Okay, fine. Right.
He's British. as soon as he did Princess Bride,
Yeah.
he was
That's
doing
it, you're English now.
a lot of
Yeah.
parts where he had to drop the British accent.
Right. Fair enough.
All right. Something's Gotta Give or The Sword in the Stone.
Oh God.
Do you know what Something's Gotta Give is well known for? The
No.
fact that Diane Keaton is completely nude in it for a split second.
Okay, but she's like 70 in this, isn't she?
And she's like 64.
Okay. Oh, I mean, Sword in the Stone. As a kid, it used to creep me out, and I've not seen it much since. But I did. I'm 50-50 on this. Where are you on this one?
I'm 50-50 too. It's hard because Something's Gotta Give is a really good romantic comedy.
Yeah.
It's an actually
I'm a fan of rom-coms,
solid-
like
it's
most
a
rom-coms I like.
solid. No, I'm not joking. It's a solid romantic comedy.
I wasn't taking the piss.
Stone-
I'm serious as well. Like rom-coms is one of my favorite like genres of film. This one not particularly, but I
No, it's not the best, but it's better than the premise. Let's just say that. Yeah, see, the chat is pretty,
chat is pretty 50, yeah.
because The Sword in the Stone is not the best iteration of the Arthur tales. It's just
not.
not. It's a classic. It's too hibbity jibbity.
Of the King Arthur ones, I think Clive Owen's one's pretty good.
Arthur, yeah, it's pretty good,
Yeah.
and it's
Right.
closer to the actual like legends, right?
Yeah.
Fuzz or the X-Files.
For me, this is really, really easy. But as I just told you earlier, I've never seen anything to do with the X-Files. But Hot Fuzz is so good, that would win. That would beat most films.
From the trilogy, which one do you like the best?
I
This one?
like the start of the third one. What's it called?
At World's End.
Well, I like the start of that, but the second half's not as good. So Hot Fuzz is the better one. Then At World's End, then Shaun of the Dead for me.
To me, it's Hot Fuzz, Shaun of the Dead, and At World's End at the
That's
end.
most people's, yeah.
Because it falls apart. At a certain point, it falls apart.
It does, but the start of it is also it's really British. The start of it, like there's a lot of British references and stuff, but it's stuff that you would only really get if you were at that exact age in that exact place. So yeah,
It's weird because, like I said, I told you I'm kind of an Anglophile, but not really.
Yeah.
I've been introduced to that sort of a thing.
Yeah.
The pub crawl. It's a thing. If you don't understand, you need a British guy to take you on a pub crawl to actually. It's like, okay, I get where you were going. It's a very British thing.
Yeah.
Hot Fuzz because I've seen the X-Files movie and it's not good.
So everyone's mentioning Spaced in the chat. Somebody in my Overwatch team played the young Nick Frost in Spaced. But I've never seen it.
All right. Three Kings or Clear and Present Danger?
Right, everyone hates Three Kings, but I thought it was all right. However, Clear and Present Danger, anything with Harrison Ford is amazing before 2014.
Agree. The Three Kings is not a bad movie. It's just mid.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like this big blowout, and it actually made a lot of money. I thought it bombed,
Yeah.
and that's the impression. It's just mid. Clear and Present
Yeah.
Danger is pretty fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Mostly because of Harrison Ford. The script itself, the story itself is not like top notch. All right,
Yeah.
Cabin Fever or The Matrix? This is easy. You don't like The Matrix.
I do quite like The Matrix, but it's not as good as everyone says it is. Yeah, I'm gonna go for The Matrix still. I think on this.
It's better.
No,
It's
I'm not.
better.
I thought you'd be one of those.
Not one of those. I am those.
Yeah.
GoldenEye or Toy Story? Very different movie.
That's tough. Okay, so GoldenEye is not my favorite Bond film. Pierce Brosnan is certainly not my favorite Bond.
Wait. This is our last couple for this week because otherwise we can go on and on. So yeah, GoldenEye is your favorite Bond.
Not my favorite Bond. Toy Story is brilliant. I think Toy Story, they actually got better as they went on. I'm going to go Toy Story on this.
Okay, cool. I am not a big Toy Story guy. It is first of all, it's a fantastic movie. I actually did like Pierce Brosnan as the new Bond. I didn't like what's his face, who was in Hot Fuzz as well. Timothy Dalton.
I liked him. I thought he was quite good.
I didn't really like Timothy Dalton. A lot of people actually, I've met a lot of people who actually said, well, I like Timothy Dalton and I wanted him to like do better, but it just didn't work.
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan was supposed to be the next guy after Roger Moore.
Yeah.
It just didn't work because of Remington Steele, a TV show in America at the time. I would go with Toy Story, even though it's like not my favorite, like from the Pixar movies, and I'm not a big animation guy on the general. The music's good. This is the best Pierce Brosnan Bond out of all of them. It's just there's something about it. There's something about I've seen it about a year and a half ago.
Well, I've seen it a couple times, but I think my main knowledge of GoldenEye comes from the N64 game, which I lived on with my friends for years, with 4-player, one-shot kill pistols. Yeah.
It's a totally different thing.
Yeah, it is. But I mean, that's how I know everything about GoldenEye.
Okay. There are moments where it's a really good Bond movie, but there are other moments where it's a sort of gets into that generic 90s action movie. Because, you know, the 90s action movie was a little bit slightly different than the 80s. A little bit more gritty, a little bit more realistic, more explosions, that sort of stuff. But that's where the Bond stuff went, like, into the explosion-y, crazy action movie.
So here's my deal with Bond, right? For a start, yeah, what Horror Cat Dad says, absolutely right. Famke Janssen is pretty hot. But
I hate that bitch.
do you? Okay, right. Did she touch you in bad places? I mean,
I just don't like. She is not on my top 20 laminated list of who I'll get to like a celebrity fuck pass.
Yeah, fair enough.
So but off that list is not even crazy. It's like not even, you know.
Yeah, no, I get it, but I assume you'd still shag her because she's Hollywood.
No.
Whatever. That is nonsense.
No.
So she comes up to you now. She comes into your room at 3 a.m. in like bra and pants. You're like, no, sorry, you're not on my 20 laminated list. Piss off. No. Yes.
He is one of those women where I'm the only guy in the world who is like, I don't want to do it. No, absolutely not.
Well, we'll agree to disagree on whether I believe what you're saying, but that's another matter.
I'm willing to be at the very small minority in the world.
Yeah,
I'm absolutely fine with that.
Yeah. So anyway, going back to James Bond. So this is my issue with like James Bond post Roger Moore, right? You've got like it was all James Bond was like a theme of the films. Like it was just it felt all the films felt like Bond films. Dalton slightly changed that; it became a bit more generic. Then Brosnan, and now with Daniel Craig, it's just these are just worse Bond films. They're not. No, I mean I just don't want to watch them at all. Like fucking what's this called? Skyfall was basically just a cross between The Bourne Identity and Home Alone. I had enough of it.
No comment.
Yeah, there you go.
To be perfectly fair, I like Casino Royale, not as a Bond movie though.
Well, that's it. Yeah, I mean, some of these are probably all right films. I'm not a fan of action films. I liked Bond films, not necessarily because of the action. I like the gadgets, I like the story, and like it was all over the top. But when they became generic action films, I lost all interest.
Yeah, I completely get you.
Yeah.
I completely get you. What I wanted to get to is, like I said, after Roxy kind of falls and dies, again, going into that theme of is she a psychopath or a sociopath or not? The fact that he goes there and she seemed to actually care for Roxy, rather than just, having her along, or have Hazel there all the time as someone to talk to. We don't actually know because she doesn't say anything. She's there. and it's weird all the time. And this is where Nick gets like he is. First, he was angry. Now he's angry and frustrated, right? He's like, okay, I'm over you. We're done. I'm done with the book. You can leave. You were a great fuck of the century, all that stuff.
Back of the
Go
century.
away. Like,
Yeah.
leave. Like, I loved Roxy. I didn't love you.
Yeah.
Leave. And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
And the thing is this, she keeps coming back to him after she shunned him away. Like, she goes back to his apartment after that, trying to appease him or something, because he goes to her. She kind of feeds him about Lisa Huberman.
Yeah.
And then he takes that thread and he kind of follows her breadcrumbs, like we kind of discussed. And he confronts Beth and he's like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me you were in college with her? Why didn't you tell me you know her? Because at first she did say no, I don't know her, or I don't know what she's except for the fact that I know she wrote a book.
Yeah.
And he confronts her with the information, and she said, "Well, we had sex, but it was just one time, and I have felt embarrassed because it was my only time with a boy."
I didn't want to tell the guys at the precinct, or they'd start calling me a lesbian. Yeah.
Yeah, it's sort of a shame thing. And when he mentioned the fact that she's the only woman, or the only person that saw his file, the file that sort of Catherine always kind of puts those little breadcrumbs that she knows about him.
Yeah.
And he goes to like the precinct down below, and he understands, well, this file is missing. Who took it out a year ago? Nielsen. Oh, the IA guy.
Yeah.
And he follows that lead to Sausalito, where Beth was supposed. He kind of sees her with that DMV with the blonde hair as well.
Yeah. Rubbish.
Kind of matches the story with Catherine as well.
Yeah.
And the fact that things kind of put into place with Nick was like, oh, Catherine is telling me the truth, kind of.
Yeah.
But it's piece by piece, and he follows Nielsen to Sausalito and getting to all that stuff.
Is that Kevin Arnold's dad?
Is that Kevin? Oh no.
No, it does. It does look. What's his name? What's Kevin Arnold's dad called? The guy. He died not long. Well, not long.
He died
ago,
not long
20
ago.
years ago.
Yeah. He died like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah. But yeah, it does look like.
Kind of. There we go. So he goes to the hospital looking for Dr. Garner, the guy who married Beth, and they got a divorce or something. And he realizes, well, he's dead. She left. She doesn't work here. She works in San Francisco in a police. He's dead. He's been dead for a few years. And it kind of activates Nick on, whoa, is Beth really the killer here? Oh, yeah. Boba Fett is like Kevin McAllister.
Kevin. Well, it could be both. But I thought he meant. What's his face? Kevin Arnold's dad from the Wonder Years. Who's the guy that plays Kevin McAllister? Who plays Kevin McAllister's
dude? Okay.
Who plays Kevin McAllister's dad? It's John.
Kevin McAllister's dad. I don't know the name of it.
He died recently as well.
He died recently, and he's
John
the
Hamm?
guy.
Yeah.
He's the guy who's like the bad guy in the movie Big. He's like the corporate executive guy in the movie Big.
And his the best time I've seen is in it. There's a film
Arnold from the Wonder Years. His dad died a whole bunch of years before that.
John Hurd. That's right. No, his best John Hurd's best role, I think. If you've ever seen a film called My Fellow Americans with Jack Lemmon, that is excellent. It's about two former presidents who have to go on this mission together, and John Hurt, he is brilliant in it. So I will highly recommend if you want something
It's
easy
weird
to
that it
watch.
was weird that it was up for the role.
Yeah.
For this role. For
Yeah,
Nick.
you said, yeah.
It's so weird. I mentioned his name and it kind of went by. See,
Yeah.
I'm so bad with names. I kind of like either I match the name with I don't match the name with the face, or I match the face, but I just like totally blank out of the face. I have it in my head.
Right. Yes. Sorry, Boba Fett is correct. He is.
No.
Well, I don't know if he's still alive, but apparently he is. But he did die in the Wonder Years. So I've been going through all these years thinking he was dead because I was so sad he died in the Wonder Years.
Dan Lurie is the guy from the Wonder Years. He's not dead?
No, apparently not. How? I don't know. But let me check this. He's got to be.
He's like 97 years old.
He's actually only 2 years older than my parents. He's in his late 70s. And I wouldn't wish death on them, despite my current financial problem.
Mel Brooks is 98 years old, and he's going to do Spaceballs 2.
Who did I hear was 99 the other day? Dick Van Dyke. Is he 99? He's almost 100 years old?
He's 97.
Is he? I thought it was 99. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Good.
Right.
Yeah.
The Mandela Effect. That's it. Thank you, Monkey Jeebus. The Mandela Effect. It's the stuff that you remember, but they're like straight out of your head. Like in Moonraker.
Yeah.
You know, the part where Jaws falls in love with this teeny tiny woman. Everybody remembers that she smiles and all of her teeth is full of bracers. That's completely wrong.
I don't understand that because I've always thought that. So I don't know how.
Always. And
That's
I saw
crazy.
a copy.
Yeah.
She has no braces. She just smiles.
Right. Okay.
That's it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Me and Tom Connors had a big argument about it because he had an argument on a stream, and then I literally texted him like, "Dude, I remember this. Blah, 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 blah. I have a VHS up." And he was like, "Nope, you remember wrong."
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, someone's saying about Kirk Douglas being really old when he died. I mean, he was so frail and like completely. It was really sad actually when they wheeled him up on the stage. It was a bit like last Thursday's debate if you're an American. So
yeah.
Or
Weekend at Bernie's.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
So the whole point is this whole trail kind of leads Catherine back to Nick's apartment, like I said, and she's like, "It's the fuck of the century, Shooter," and he's so annoyed that she calls him Shooter, and she calls him Shooter all throughout the movie. She looks at him as like with those eyes, those like "I'm going to kill you" eyes.
Yeah,
and because everything is into high gear mode at this point, like we said. Starts off slow, and as the movie progresses, it kind of builds up and builds up and builds up, and this ball is rolling. As Gus finds out about, she sort of, I got a call from the college, Catherine's roommate. She's willing to confirm about this Lisa Huberman thing.
Yeah,
about the dead professor. The whole point is that there's a dead professor. That she wrote a book later on, kind of exonerating her from that. And then Gus goes, Nick waits down below, and he gets killed with an assailant in a blonde wig or blonde hair with an ice pick. And Nick kind of like thinks about it as he waits in the car, and then he rushes over to Gus.
That's right. He suddenly realizes when it's just too late.
Suddenly realizes that these things don't add up, and he sees him dead, and suddenly all the police is there, right? And he finds Beth after he sees Gus, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And she has something in her pocket. It was like, "Take it out," and as she takes it out, he immediately shoots at her. Immediately.
Yeah.
Kind of, again, going back to the stuff that happened with the tourists. It's already been set. That's the setup and payoff.
Set up that he's trigger happy.
Yeah.
What is it that I can't remember what it is that they pull out of the out of a pocket?
It's those keychains, the Bart Simpson keychains
That's
that
right.
she had
Yeah.
when he asked her to return the key.
That's it. Yeah.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
poor Gus, all he wanted to do was be left alone, drink, and going on a drive.
It was the early 90s. It wasn't a rule till 2005, let's be honest.
Oh my God.
Still 5 and drive now, I hear. But,
I guess Gus karma's a bitch.
yeah.
I mean, he did have some food. He was hungover and did have some food in that diner before.
That's
he
fine.
went-
That's fine, officer. I've had some food.
Yes. Oh, officer, I don't need a breathalyzer. I'm a policeman myself.
That's even better.
So he shoots her, realizes that he may have shot an innocent person. Again, it's that dichotomy between, is it Catherine or is it Beth? But then they find sort of like the wig and the ice pick in a little bag, and they're like, okay, we get it. Beth is the real killer. There's too many evidence that she may have done it. They find the gun, which was very convenient, right? They find the gun that killed Nielsen in her apartment.
Yeah.
Because she just stepped out. Apparently, it was her apartment building, and Nick was not unaware that was it.
Yeah.
Or he just realized it was her apartment building.
Yeah.
And
But it's still never like. Anyway, sorry, carry on.
no, go ahead.
It's never really like they leave doubt till the very end, don't they?
Yes,
I mean, not just with the very last scene, but at that point you still think, "Oh, could this have been planted? Could this have been like a horrible, like double trick?" You never know.
You know what I'm telling you right now. Up until this particular viewing, I always thought this was always Beth.
Right. Okay.
I always thought it was definitely only Beth, and the whole ice pick thing was there as sort of a,
Setting up a sequel.
No, not really secret. Where in
Sequel.
horror movies, in that horror movie trope, that the killer has that one last jump scare and then he died.
Yeah.
In a way, that's sort of a thing. It's the ice pick that Nick tried to use but couldn't on his own ice.
Yeah.
And Catherine came in and did it herself. And you can see she knows how to do it. Right?
Yeah.
After this time around, it's very ambiguous. It could be both. It could be the fact that Catherine always drawn herself to psychotic people, and she recognized that in Hazel. She recognized that in Nick, and she definitely recognized that while she was in school with Beth.
Yeah.
She may or may not have killed the professor. She may or may not have killed Boz.
Whose photo is this? Where they find? Is it at Beth's apartment?
This is the photo they find in Beth's apartment.
Fine. So why do they have? So they've got one photo there of the graduation with the both in it, and this one looks like Beth is stalking Catherine. As in, she's staring at her from behind, isn't she? It's like, would she keep that photo? I mean, surely not. I don't know, but brilliant.
But this is the exact point where I said in this viewing, I saw things that I've never seen before because I was thinking about it critically.
Yeah.
Beth is looking at the camera, not at Catherine.
That if you make that photo brighter, I'm
Cannot make it any bigger.
Brighter, sorry, or zoom in on it. Zoom in on it.
Let me try something.
Okay.
Let me try something. There is something in VLC I can do to make it brighter, but it's gonna distort the picture.
Okay. But she is definitely in the version when I did this, it looks exactly like she is just staring.
Well,
right
we
at
have the
Catherine.
chat. I've made it a little bit brighter. The contrast is all off.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, she's staring at her.
I don't know, man.
Okay, well that maybe it's one. Maybe it's another double thing that it looks like. But either.
But
Yeah.
Catherine is definitely looking at the camera with the smirk and
Yeah.
the head tilt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let's ask chat who they think is the main killer. Catherine or because there's a few people saying that. Who thinks the main killer is Catherine and who thinks the main killer is Beth?
Yeah, go ahead. Just write Catherine or Beth
Yeah, as the main killer.
as the main killer. We're not saying Beth. Of course. Evie. Who's the main killer?
That's what I took from it, Michael.
See, Michael says she looks like she's peering down at her. Forever, like I said, forever. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
But-
So that's my. As soon as I saw it, I never even thought of it any other way. So right, the brunette is the killer. Catherine, right? It's pretty much going to be tied, I think. But that is the beauty of this. It leaves it on a knife edge. Let's just say.
And
Thank
when
you.
cops kind of, like I said, when the other cops, not Nick, kind of dig into what Nick brought, so that the black detective was on it. It's like Nick asked him to go check on it, and he checked and kind of checked out what Nick thought, which
Yeah.
kind of leads you on the path of Beth.
Yeah.
And yes, Monkey Jeebus, these are the moments where it's completely Hitchcock.
Yeah.
And this is Verhoeven's version rather than Joe Esterhaus's version, which was a lot more cut dry.
Clear cut. Yeah.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Catherine, according to that version.
Yeah, and according to Dober Fett, Michael Douglas said in an interview that Catherine did it.
Yes.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that.
I've seen in 3 different interviews that Michael Douglas always thought it was Catherine, and she just led Nick on the wrong trail. She just fed him those little tiny information points that
Yep.
all the time put Beth the center of attention, because she knew from the file. Catherine knew from the file because she had it. Definitely. That Beth, she knew about Beth. She knew the fact that there was a thing there. It all points to it's not going well. Plus, she knows what Catherine knows because Beth was literally writing that file and giving it to Nielsen in IA.
The moral of the story is never date anyone who did psychology at Berkeley.
No, the moral of the story is don't stick your dick in crazy.
Well,
And I'm not even joking. And it's hyperbolic when Amber Heard was invoked.
yeah.
The fact, I can't show that.
Is it a turd on the end of someone's bed?
No.
Okay.
The fact that they have sex mirroring the first scene, it's sort of the same scene. The silk scarf, the fact that she goes back and then leans forward as if she is going to stab him, but she doesn't. Leans into the fact that maybe she had second thoughts. Maybe she's planning something else.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's his ice pick, the same ice pick was used before, coming in, sort of like the gun that was introduced in the first act, appearing in the third act.
Yeah.
But not in the way you think. And this ice pick on the floor kind of was like, wait a minute. Did they use it to make drinks before they had sex?
Yeah.
Or is it just on the floor, happenstance to be ready to be used as soon as Nick falls asleep?
Yeah. Or is she leaving it under there hoping he finds it to make it more sexy? Who knows? Who knows? We'll never know.
You never know.
No.
And this is the beauty of this movie. And I'm so glad we got to talk about it. Whether All My Feelings is here or not, he literally texted me 3, 4, 5 days ago, right before he went back home to visit his mom. He's like, I am so sorry I can't be there today because he's a massive Hitchcock fan.
Yeah.
and he's like, I want you to get that. I want you to get to that. He didn't say, I love him. He watches, he's going to watch this, so he knows that I know. He didn't say Hitchcock, but it's like, I really want to talk to you about this because of reasons. And he didn't say the reasons. And I was like, because it's that.
Yeah.
All right.
So a couple of things. Yeah, yes, it is better than Sliver. Sliver was absolutely awful.
Sliver was awful.
But I want to discuss the sequel. I'm assuming you've seen it, Mephisto.
I have not.
Right.
I know of it. I know the story beats. I have not seen it.
Okay, I have done a brief 10-minute recap of the sequel on my channel if you want to watch it. It is a terrible, terrible film, but you get to find out at least sort of what happens in it. It's awful. It's almost unrelated. But in the sequel, she's still a bit mental. So, it sort of leans towards that it was her. But yeah, it's a terrible, terrible film. And if you haven't seen it, do not watch the film. It is so bad.
What you should do is go to Jay's channel. The link is in the description down below. He covers a whole bunch of movies that you know and a lot of movies that you've never heard about that are Lifetime movies, but he makes them sound so good, i.e. very funnier than they actually are. Trust me.
I do my best, but you want to search for the Basic Instinct 2 video, and I mean, honestly, it's got the guy from Harry Potter, Sharon's the guy from Harry Potter who turns into a werewolf, Mr. Whatever. Yeah. It's got David Morrissey, that's the governor from The Walking Dead. It's got a whole load of really good actors, but unfortunately, it's so badly done that it makes them do terrible performances.
Oh, a Horror Cat Dad, yes. The Seagal films that Jay covered, he doesn't cover them. He just explains them. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Those videos are fantastic.
I've heard in my comments a number of times, it's not as good as Space Ice. Well, I'd hope not. He's got 100 times more subscribers than I have.
All right, guys. So please take a look at Jay's channel. And if you do like it, subscribe. If you don't like it, just watch several things and you don't have to subscribe. That's literally what he says on his channel to everyone.
Yeah. Please do not subscribe to me out of pity or because you think he seems like a nice bloke. I don't know who would say that, but only subscribe if you're actually interested in watching stuff.
All right, cool. And if you like to watch my stuff, go right ahead. Enjoy all that stuff. I don't care about pity subs.
Pity subs.
I have long left the notion that this thing that I'm doing here is nothing but short of fun, because that's what I'm not good. I'm not nerdrotic, and I'm not gonna ever be. I would like to have him back, because when he was here, it was a lot of fun talking to him. This is because he's a really smart guy. However, if, like I said, if you do like to subscribe, like, share, comment, all that good stuff. And of course, what's very important, because we're going to have another show next week, you need to go and watch, and I don't remember if it's it's RoboCop.
Oh, nice.
Next week, it's RoboCop. It's the first Hollywood American movie with Paul Verhoeven as the director. So Paul Verhoeven's first Hollywood thing, and what he got was fucking RoboCop.
And if you're in the UK, that is free on Amazon Prime currently. Just came out last week.
It is for the American audience, free on Tubi, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. So I think it is Tom Connors and Extra Zero, I think, the guests, but we'll see, because Tom Connors does a lot of streams, so he might not be here. So I don't want to promise. But what I do promise is that we will be here. So go watch RoboCop this week. Enjoy it. And we're going to cover it next week. So from me to you guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy your time. Don't think about too many politics. And remember, hope is a good thing, maybe even the best of things. And no good thing ever dies. We'll see you next week. You're still here? It's over. Go home.